Welcome back to the SighSquad podcast. We're going to get started here with the NFL. So the preseason has been reportedly cut by the NFL after the NFLPA voted for it. Originally, it was the NFL just cutting it down to 2, but then the NFLPA wanted to eliminate preseason game altogether. So how do you think that this will affect football? Because it definitely does have its effects.
It is really important to kind of get in the groove with the team before the season starts. And do you think that it will cause an even rockier start to the season this year without a preseason?
Well, I think, we had a lot of trans people going to new teams this year. I think I'm all on board for a shortened preseason. I would like them to play some preseason games because if you don't play in a preseason game, you got big ticket free agent quarterbacks. You got Phillip Rivers, Cam Newton, these people who are on these new teams. And they need time to acclimate. They need time to play with their team. And you really don't – I mean, you can practice all you want, but once it's not as real until you're in a game. And I know a lot of veterans sit out preseason, and a lot of them don't really care. And I presume a lot of people in the Player Association voted no on preseason just because – veteran guys just don't need to play a preseason, but I like preseason for all the young guys who are trying to make roster spots and are trying to be new guys on their teams and who are, especially rookies who are starters that need to get some playing time with their team for the regular season.
Right, and I agree with you there, especially when you see players come out of the preseason that weren't even supposed to be on the team, like Philip Lindsay, for example, just because he's on the top of my list anyways. We would never have seen him as a starter in the NFL and have that breakout season if he was not playing and balling out during those preseason games. And I just worry that some of these players, especially with how wacky the draft was this year to begin with. You didn't get to see the workouts and all that. I'm just worried that some of these players who deserve a spot and are very talented won't be able to get a spot because there isn't a preseason.
Yeah, I share the similar concern because preseason is that one time where guys do something insane and that's how they get their job. Guys that would have normally been cut and we would have never heard from them again. Without that preseason, we're not going to have, the breakout players. I mean, think about I believe it was Terrell Davis.
Yep, Terrell.
He he got a job because in preseason on the kickoff, he smoked a dude, just laid him out, and that's how he got his job.
Right.
All right. So I am very not like anti preseason, but I could care less about the preseason. I understand that because I always kind of view it like college. Like college, they don't need preseason, and they have just as many players to go around. But then again, it's different when players are fighting for a job. Like those college athletes, have a spot on the roster to an extent, that or they just get redshirted. I think if they are to, I think they should either, it's so tough because for me, I think with everything going on, they're going to need to get acclimated into football shape because preseason for me, if they're going to do two preseason games, it's fine. But my philosophy is it makes no sense for the original starters to play. We know who's going to start. But it's a good opportunity for the young guys. And if the NFLPA doesn't want to do preseason, well, then what they should do is they should add more full contact practices, and they should be required to play one scrimmage or at least two scrimmages against different teams. How they do it in training camp, where they go against scrimmages against other teams. I think that has to be a requirement if you're not going to play in preseason game. Because that can also be a good way to find out what players are going to do because you're still getting that game-like intensity, obviously a little less intense, but you still kind of get that play, that game feel of, okay, this is what they're lining up and this is what I'm going to do. Because a lot of the guys in that shine in the preseason, they usually shine in camp. There's a pretty if you're good enough to be on an NFL roster, it'll show in training camp. There's been a lot of instances where I've heard of, ring reports where players break out in training camp, and it's no surprise they break out in preseason games. So I'm always hit and miss about preseason. This year is kind of crazy. So if they're not going to do preseason, they have to add more padded practices and require at least one scrimmage against another team.
I think that would be a good alternative, but I just still think there needs to be some type of preseason. I don't know. I get the players and the PA probably are most of those veteran players, and so they get, yeah, we don't need this. But I think for the younger guys, I definitely think a preseason is needed. And I'm curious to see what the NFL, because, well, the PA, that's what they voted on. The NFL hasn't made anything official, and so I'm curious to see what they do there.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next topic in the NFL. The Redskins came under fire again. They come under fire every couple of years about their name, and they released a statement saying, in the light of recent events around our country and feedback from our community, the Washington Redskins are announcing the team will undergo a thorough review of the team's name. The team said in a statement, this review formalizes the initial discussions the team has been having with the league in recent weeks. And that's a quote from NFL.com itself. And so kind of something that caused this is FedEx, which is basically the naming rights owner of the field. Their field said that they won't support them if they don't change their name. And then Nike took all their merch down for the Redskins. And then Pepsi also terminated their relationships until they changed the name. So the name obviously should probably be changed. It's kind of overdue, but what would you like to see the new name be?
Yeah, and this has been a pressing issue that's been discussed with the Redskins for a long time. This year, I think it's that corporate. It's the fact that these other corporations, the other sponsors, are pulling them. I think the Nike one really affected them, getting all their merch pulls. I've seen a couple different ideas floating on the internet. I know Washington Warriors is a pretty common one. You know, kind of the same theme, but it wouldn't be a derogatory term. I've seen a lot about as potential the Washington Red Tails, celebrating the Tuskegee Airmen in World War II. I don't know. I'm glad they're finally getting around to changing it. I know the Cleveland Indians also said they're going to be reviewing their team name and are thinking about changing it.
Yep. I'd like to see, since they are Washington, D.C. and not Washington, and I know that's something that gets confused, definitely for me anyways. When I was younger, I didn't know Washington, Seattle. I thought they were basically the same place, Washington, D.C. and Washington State. But I'd like to see something D.C. like how the XFL had the D.C. Defenders. I don't know if you can come up with something that catchy for it, but I'd like to see something like that. It'd be kind of cool, especially if they change like their colors and everything. Just make it a whole revamp of the team, and then the team would go from negative to a whole positive and plus. And they just revealed a new United States Championship on Monday Night Raw, and
Ooh.
I do not like the look of it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. But, yeah.
I mean,
what do you guys think would be a good name?
It's overdue. They need a team name. It's something they've been needing to do for years, and this with how crazy this year has been. Now is the time more than ever to do it. And companies are pressing on just because of everything that's been going on. It's now time for a change, and I'm all for it. And by the way, kudos to the Cleveland Indians for deciding to do it, because they weren't even the team that got called out like that. And they're even like, maybe we need to really take a long look in the mirror about what our future has to be. So kudos to them. And yeah, and I personally like what they need. I personally like the Warriors, because it's not, if they still want to do that tradition of keeping the Redskins name, Warriors is still an homage to the Native American community. And you get those like really sick, like those maroon ones where they have the spear coming out of it, like the spear on their helmet, like FSU. Then they can wear those uniforms with like a modern twist to it. That can be kind of dope.
Hear me out. I found the perfect name. The name to end all names. Ready?
Ready.
DC Dinos. Get that dinosaur swag up in the NFL. DC Dinos.
I would buy some dinosaur swag.
And like on the helmet, they could just have like the leg of a T-Rex. Bro, DC Dinos.
I can't get behind that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can either.
You guys are lame. DC Dinos.
Anyway, I mean, another thing they could do too is, I mean, if they're gonna do since they're in Washington or since they're in DC, I mean, you have the Nationals, you have the Capitals, you might as well have I don't know, like some other kind of, you guys know where I'm getting at with that, like some weird fancy Washington DC name, like the Federals or the Governors or some weird, or the Senators or something weird like that, which wouldn't be as good, too basic. But I like the War. I personally vote the Warriors just because we can get those uniforms because I love those Redskins uniforms. By the way.
Have you guys heard anything more about the Cleveland Indians and their potential name change?
Yeah, I haven't heard. I haven't looked into them as much yet, but I know they're still doing the review on their name, but I haven't heard any like potential like new names they could be called.
So the betting odds are the Cleveland Naps.
The Naps.
The Naps, Naps. The
Ew.
Spiders.
Oh, I'd like to see this. So they actually used to be called the Cleveland Spiders back in like the 1900s, and that was actually the last time. Actually, fun fact: the Cleveland Spiders has the worst winning percentage in a single season in MLB history.
Whoa! I'd like to see the Spiders come back then.
That'd be kind of cool.
The Cleveland Spiders were a team between 1887 and 1899.
Oh my lord! Not even the 19. They couldn't even make it to the 1900s.
Ooh. But the Naps would be after Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, Nap LaJoie. I butchered that name. Some other names are the Guardians, the Wild Things, and the Buckeyes. Which was
cool, but they would probably have a big issue. Ohio State would be like, no.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that would not be likely because Ohio State would not allow. They'd be like, no, you are not having our name.
I don't know. There's not much that Ohio State would be able to do about it, though.
I mean, technically, they own. I mean, obviously they don't own the rights to the word Buckeye, but I mean, it would be a huge. I don't know, because like whenever I would hear Buckeyes, I would think of Ohio State. I wouldn't think of
right. But yeah, name changes might be coming. I'm very interested to see, because Dan Snyder, we know he's not that great of a owner.
No.
At all. But I'm curious to see in this time crunch, because there's 3 weeks until the season starts or the camps and stuff all start back up. I'm curious to see if he can get something done, because if they're gonna be losing money as it is without sponsors. They want Nike sponsors and they want merch to get out before the season. I don't know how they can do it unless they like announce it within the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, no, and they said like it has to be within before the season starts if they're gonna do a name change. I think it's like I said, time is now, and I think this can be a good thing for Washington. This can be an opportunity for them to really just kind of change the direction of the team, a direction that isn't exactly going anywhere. So why not get a name change, get a rebrand, and then if they build a new stadium for you, that can be the start of something like big for Washington football. Washington Redskins team that is a very prideful, historically good football team, and they just been down in the pits, and it's just one of those things where it's like if you want to just kind of change the culture, now's the time to do it. And there's no better way to do it than a rebrand. Just ask the LA Rams. Our rebrand is going really well.
That's fair.
It's not actually, but
I mean, it's not. I mean, you made it to the Super Bowl.
It's what?
I mean, you made it to the Super Bowl.
We did.
Look at the Chargers.
That's true. The Chargers are killing their rebrand, and they're gonna put a good team on the field.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see where that goes with name changes and all that. Anything else in the NFL to talk about before we? Oh, that doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. That championship. Anything else in the NFL before we hop over to that franchise mode?
No, I don't think so.
All right. For all those in attendance and those millions watching at home, here's Brendan, and he presents to you franchise mode on a team I'm very high of this season, the Arizona Cardinals.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Franchise Mode. I am now the GM of the Arizona Cardinals, and I proudly inherit what will be the best offense in the National Football League come this next year. I do not care that the Chiefs have everybody on their team running at 99 miles per hour, and they have inked Patrick Mahomes. I do not care. I do not care that Tom Brady is now in Tampa and has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk. I do not care. Arizona Cardinals, best offense in the National Football League. So I don't touch anything there. But their defense has a hole or two. But probably the biggest one is going to be strong safety. Now, right around the Arizona Cardinals have about $8.5 million in cap space, and there is a strong safety out there that you might have heard of. His name is Eric Reed. He played for, it says free safety here. What thing said strong safety? Oh, my free agency tracker. That was the problem before. Anyways, there's a strong safety out there also by the name of Tony Jefferson. I had a backup, don't worry. Now, Tony Jefferson is a little tricky. He played with the Cardinals before, did really good. He got signed to a big deal with the Ravens, played well for a year, then got cut the next year because he was out for the whole season due to a season-ending injury. But now he's cut, he's a free agent, did well for us before. What if we bring him back? And this time we can bring him back for cheap. Tony Jefferson is a phenomenal player. He literally just got injured once and just couldn't be a part of the Ravens' Super Bowl plans. I say bring him back. That patches a hole in the defense. You already know what you're getting from Tony Jefferson. Granted, it's a new coach and a new system, but Pat Pete would hype him up because Pat Pete played with him. So, and if you have, your best weapon in the secondary, hyping up the guy you're potentially bringing in, you might be set a little bit. But Eric Reed was one of my main ideas. Like, looking at the team, wherever there's like a hole on defense, they don't have necessarily like the worst player there. Some of it's like, their second corner is Byron Murphy Jr., who is pretty young. And I think he might just need to mature in the league a little bit, and that will help him out. But, with the additions of, like, Isaiah Simmons on your linebacker core, a defensive end wouldn't hurt. I don't think Everson Griffin's been signed yet, so that might be a move. Especially if we can get him for cheap. I don't know. But my biggest focus was that strong safety.
Where do you see this Arizona Cardinal team going into this next season here? I know they are in a tough division, well, somewhat, with the Seahawks and the 49ers, and I guess we can throw the Rams in there as well.
Yeah.
But they're in a tough spot there with their rivals.
So this Arizona team, right? They're gonna sweep the Rams.
They're
gonna sweep the Seahawks.
Stop.
They're going to be swept by the 49ers.
They're gonna sweep the Seahawks?
They're gonna sweep the Seahawks.
Bad.
Because the Seahawks are not gonna get Jadeveon Clowney back.
You don't need Jadeveon Clowney to beat the Cardinals, do you?
Yes, you do. Because those are going to be.
But how are they going to stop Russell Wilson?
How are they going to stop DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald,
How are they going to
Kyler
stop Russell
Murray?
Wilson?
I would take Seattle's defense over Arizona's defense.
I almost would too. And I'll take Russell Wilson over Kyler Murray 10 times a week.
Okay, but hear me out. Russell Wilson doesn't have as good of a weapons as Kyler Murray. DK Metcalf is good. I'm just saying. And plus, you have second and sack leader Chandler Jones on Arizona's side of the ball. And you still don't have an offensive line in Seattle. I'm telling you.
Oh no, but Arizona's offensive line is probably worse.
No. I personally have faith in Arizona's O-line now.
And I don't. I think Arizona's offensive line is worse than Seattle's.
I personally have faith in Arizona's new O-line with the addition
New
of
O-line? They
Josh
just had
Jones.
Josh Jones. That's it.
Telling you, gonna work.
I disagree with that, but
Anyways, where do you have them going as a record?
So they're going to be second in the division. So they're going to be like the first wild card in the NFC at about, I have them going 11, and that was voice crack. I'm trying to think how many losses that would be. 5.
11-5.
And who do you have them losing to? Besides the Niners.
I didn't look at their schedule.
Okay, so they play the Niners, the Redskins, the Lions, the Panthers, the Jets, the Cowboys.
They lose to the Cowboys.
The Dolphins. The Patriots.
They'll probably lose to the Patriots.
The Eagles.
They'll lose to the Eagles.
And then the Giants. They actually have a pretty damn easy schedule.
They're gonna lose to the Eagles. Maybe I actually have them going 12-4. So I personally think they can beat the Cowboys.
Let's go.
Where do you play Isaiah Simmons?
Well, that's a great
He's
question.
playing
there.
linebacker.
Okay,
He's gonna be
fair.
the cover linebacker, and he's gonna just basically make the middle of the field a no-fly zone.
Pretty much. I like that idea.
Or you send him in on a blitz every once in a while to confuse people.
I mean, he does have that talent.
Oh,
Yeah.
easy.
But I'm telling you guys, honestly, I don't even hate the idea of trying to bring in Eric Reed and because Eric Reed had some insane stats last year. Not insane, but he had really solid stats last year for him
he was
also
really
to
good.
not be signed. He's just the Panthers are just rebuilding, so they had to cut him.
Who's the Cardinals starting free safety?
Buda Baker.
And
Buda.
Buda beast.
Yeah. As much as we shit on the Cardinals defense, they actually have some good players.
Oh yeah, they have
You have the likes of, I personally think that everything's gonna fall into place because they robbed the Texans of DeAndre Hopkins.
He will be a difference maker. That is for damn sure, especially for a young quarterback.
Well, Kyler obviously isn't bad because he won Rookie of the Year. Kenyon Drake is a solid running back. Chase Edmonds, his backup, is also a solid running back. You have the likes of DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, and Andy Isabella for your 4 wide receivers. I'm telling you, Arizona is a scary team. I just worry about their strong safety spot, but
Don't worry, I'm on the Arizona hype too.
they're sweeping Seattle though. I'm telling you.
I
don't
do
see
not
it.
believe that's gonna happen. But
I don't believe so either.
so, how far do you have them going to the playoffs?
I have no idea. I can't. That NFC is whack because they could lose first round. They could make it to the Super Bowl. There's in between too. Because just everything would literally it's really gonna be just one team's gonna have everything fall into place for them and have no struggles, or no team's gonna have anything fall into place for them, struggle a lot, and somehow make it random.
Okay. Well, that's Brendan on the Arizona Cardinals. Who's going on next week?
I believe next week will be you, Duncan.
Me. Okay. You see the wheel?
Almost. Yes,
Yep.
I do.
Who do you want?
So looking at it here, I'd like the Chargers. I'd like the Patriots. The Colts would be a fun one. I'd love to have the Bears. I don't want the Raiders, and I don't want the Titans. But that is it. So it's time to spin the wheel, see who I get next week. Oh boy. Uh-oh. All right. I got Cam Newton.
I mean, at least Ben didn't get the Patriots.
Damn it.
Don't worry. I trust in Bill Belichick, man. And I think Cam Newton is going to be much better than your boy Jarrett Stidham. So
It's okay to be wrong. Just like it's okay to think that Arizona's not going to sweep Seattle if they pick up a strong safety.
One, and there's no way. Russell Wilson's too damn good.
I don't even have the Cardinals making the playoffs.
I don't either. I think they'll finish last in the division.
They're going to be second in the division, and the Rams are going to be towards the bottom of the pickings.
The Cardinals will be third in the division.
Football team.
It's okay to be wrong, guys. It's okay to be wrong.
The Cardinals will
accept it.
be third in their division.
Second.
I think the Cardinals could honestly upset the Seahawks. But I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen, but I could see it. I don't know. It just depends on how their team chemistry works. Speaking of the Cardinals, though, I did see something interesting that I just remembered as I was rambling on here. Kyler Murray paid over $40,000 to run a Cardinals workout with 20 teammates in Dallas. He paid for travel, lodging, and food for everyone. That's why I think the Cardinals are going to be great this week. Great this year.
Great. That's great.
They got
team
extra
chemistry.
practice.
They're more prepped than the rest of the NFL. So, yep.
Well, besides Tampa Bay.
We don't like Tampa Bay right now.
Tom Brady, started his team workouts, 2 months ago because he didn't care.
True. That's true.
Granted, if Tom got corona it wouldn't even phase him because of how much.
TB12, he's immune in the first place. What are you talking about?
This is facts.
Yeah, he already has the initials of tuberculosis, so he's immune to all respiratory diseases.
Wow, that was not a funny joke. But while we're talking about football, we might as well move to the other kind of football. Noah, the MLS starts on Wednesday or Thursday.
It starts on Wednesday, kicks off in Miami and Orlando. So here is basically the rundown for everything you need to know. I talked about it last week. They're playing in groups. All the groups are decided, except there is a little bit of a curveball being thrown. So FC Dallas announced that they're withdrawing from the tournament because they had 11 players test positive for COVID-19, or 11 players and staff test positive for COVID-19. And I completely understand, because first off, you're just risking the chances of other people getting COVID, and you're just not going to have anybody at your discretion to play. You can't even put a team out there, because if it takes 2 weeks to recover, you're obviously with the league starting this week, there's just no chance for it to happen. So FC Dallas is out, and the easiest way to fix this in terms of the group seeding and all that stuff, all you have to do is move Nashville because Nashville, who was originally a Western Conference team, they moved into the Eastern Conference group for whatever reason. I don't know. Move Nashville to that Western Conference division, that group, and then just readjust the schedule. It's that easy. But knowing MLS, they're going to make it as hard and as complicated as possibly it can be. A couple of notable players who are sitting out. Iko Para for MNUFC, which I was very sad that he's not playing. The reigning Defender of the Year will not be attending the tournament because he's recovering from an injury. He doesn't want to re-aggravate. He wants to fully recover, and not for the sake of his health. So he will not be playing. The biggest one, though, is reigning league MVP and MLS's single-season goal-scoring record holder, Carlos Vela, will also not be playing in the tournament. And that's a huge blow to LAFC because LAFC runs everything for Carlos Vela. Now, they have a lot of talent, so I think they can still be an interesting team. But I certainly think it takes them away from being the favorites because they run everything through Vela. Vela's their leading their assist man. That he's their best passer. He's their most pure scorer. He is literally he's the core of that offense. And without him, that's going to be detrimental. There's another thing I want to talk about too. The Atlanta United signed another player. What's it? I think it's Emmanuel Dam, DAMM, not DAMN. He will basically replace Joseph Martinez for the rest of the year. I was kind of against it. I don't know much about the player yet. I haven't done my research on him. I don't really like it though. I just think that's going to be a headache for Atlanta to pay for in the future because it's not like Joseph Martinez is leaving. He's just injured. When he comes back, he'll continue to be the best. What I think is the best player in the league. I think Joseph Martinez is the best player in the league, not Carlos Vela. So it's going to kind of create a headache, and then it's going to, players are going to complain about it, not starting, and then you have to deal with different formations, and it's just going to create a mess in the future that I think won't be good for Atlanta, but he will make his debut in the tournament. Other than that, that's kind of the big news, I think. I mean, I haven't heard anything on the reseeding of the group since Dallas is pulling out, but that's kind of just the big news. So, yeah, starts this week.
Who's going to win?
So, it's interesting. So, I initially had LAFC winning it, but now Carlos Vela's out. So, I don't have a formal prediction. But if I had to pick a pool of a few teams that could win it, I would have to either go Seattle because they have everybody healthy. No one has tested positive for Corona. Seattle probably has to be the new favorites. I think LAFC can still make a splash, but I don't pick them as my favorites. I think teams like Sporting Kansas City or Minnesota can still be in big contention. If I had to pick off the top of my head, Seattle Sounders are my pick for right now.
I still think it's going to be Dallas.
Fun fact. That's another thing that'll help. That's another thing that'll help Seattle. Seattle had played in the same group as Dallas, but LOL.
Is there an Arizona soccer team?
Not yet.
Well, they need to make one so that way they can sweep Seattle.
Oh, I don't know. Seattle Sounders are kind of a powerhouse right now.
I know they have so many. They have a couple like famous owners too, like
Part owner.
Russell Wilson and the guy that does Price is Right. Forgot his name.
Shoot.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey. Thank you.
Yeah, he owns part of the team too.
So how do you have Minnesota United doing, our local team that we all like?
With the loss of Ike Opara, I don't think we're going to win the group. I initially had them winning the group, but they will not win the group. But they will finish second in the group, so they will still advance to the knockout stages of it. I don't think they'll get very far. They're gonna have to be over reliant on Michael Boxall, who is really solid. He's a really good center back, one of the most underrated center backs in the league. But Ike Opara, kind of like Carlos Vela, is the glue of the offense. Ike Opara is the glue of Minnesota United's defense. Now they have enough talent and veteran leadership to still make a splash. And I'm hoping Luis Amarilla, who is on pace to be one of the league's top goal scorers, can continue that hot trend. So I don't think we'll win the group, but I wouldn't be surprised if we find a way to do so. And if we can maybe make a splash and maybe upset a few teams come the actual knockout stages. But we are probably in the toughest group of all the teams.
Man.
But I have kick off against SKC on July 12th.
All right. So that's starting here Wednesday, so the day before this comes out. So make sure to get all your soccer in this week.
Yes. Watch your
fun,
gentlemen.
I'm excited to see, because soccer will also set up the NBA and how they're going to do things in their whole bubble.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited to see how that looks. But
yeah. And by the way, every single game will be nationally televised on the ESPN channels and Fox Sports, so everyone can watch all the games.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
But you were mentioning something about this going from soccer nets to basketball hoop nets.
Yeah, so the NBA have all their facilities set up and stuff. They're kind of ready to go. I know there are a couple teams that shut down their camps due to COVID reason early before they moved down to Orlando. I think the Bucks are one of them. But they're ready to go. One thing that I did find cool about the NBA is they are taking what's going on around us in the culture and everything, and they are adopting and being a true for the people's league. They're allowing certain statements to be on social justice to be on jerseys. They're having Black Lives Matters on the courts. And they're kind of doing everything they can to support everything going on in the world right now. And I think it's really cool that they're not just pushing it aside. And I think we could also cause this to see more players actually step up and decide to play. I know Victor Oladipo decided he was going to sit out, but he's still going to Orlando. And so I wonder if after they see some of these players see everything the NBA is trying to do, if some of these players will jump in and join and make even better basketball, but I'm unsure how that's going to go. Speaking of basketball, though, a picture of Zion came out. He is looking tremendously healthy, gonna kill it. And a picture of LeBron came out, and he is also looking tremendously jacked.
Yes,
and
sir.
Better than he's looked in a while.
Coming for that GOAT status is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he is the GOAT.
True.
But that's for a different conversation. Right. One big thing coming out of the NBA this past week here is the NBA announced that they're considering adding a second bubble in Chicago for the 8 teams that aren't going to be in Orlando. So that would be the Nets, or not the Nets. What am I saying? That would be the Hawks, the Bulls, the Warriors, the Timberwolves. Help me out here. The Hornets, the Knicks, the Pistons, and the Cavaliers.
Yes, sir.
So I'd be curious to see, especially with there being more Eastern Conference teams not there, I'm curious to see how they do that.
Yeah, I don't think East will be much of any change because I don't think Washington's that great. I don't think they'll make a splash. I think the whole seeding will pretty much just be the same. Maybe like a few like change ups, like the actual like whatever. But
And we were talking in our group chat that we have here, and I think Ethan brought up the idea of playing for the first pick in the NBA draft, and I thought that would be really cool.
that would be kind of cool. I would like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting too. I think this whole bubble would be good to watch just because it is the bottom 8 teams. I know NBA can sometimes not be as fun when it's a really, really good team just destroying a little guy. But if you put all the bad teams together, you get some good games, some good matchups.
Oh, for sure. And I'm very excited. I'm excited things are coming back, and I'm just hoping everyone stays healthy.
Yes, that is the big thing.
That would be a real slam dunk if everybody could just stay healthy.
Would be.
Wow, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, even though that wasn't a home run, basketball did start back up. So basketball camps have officially started, and tonight they announced the schedules and everything for the 60 games. Excited to see. So how it will work is each of the teams will play 10 games against the other teams in their divisions for a total of 40 games, and then they'll play 20 interleague games against teams kind of in their area of their region.
Yeah, so like for example, the Twins are in the American League Central, so they'll play 40 divisional games, so 10 divisional games or 10 games per team in their division, and they'll play the NL Central because of the region. So they'll play the Cubs, Cardinals, Pirates, Brewers, and Reds.
Nice.
I know the MLB has had some star players either already say they're sitting out or contemplate sitting out.
Somebody just said that, I think yesterday. But
Yeah, Mike's still contemplating if he's going to play, and if he doesn't play, it's over.
You say Mike Trout?
Yeah, Mike Trout's still contemplating if he's going to play.
Yeah, I saw that. I know another of the big ones was David Price, who said he's going to sit out.
Yeah, I think that's going to – I originally had the Dodgers win the World Series. I don't think they're going to anymore because of that.
Huh.
Well, opening day does start July 23rd. The 2 games that will be played that day are the Nationals versus the Yankees, which is opening day, and then the Giants-Dodgers, and then Braves-Mets and Brewers-Cubs just kick off the season, and Yankees-Nationals is sounding like a decent game.
Should be reigning world champions against the Yankees for World Series contenders this year. Should be fun.
Yeah. So the postseason they announced is going to be normal for baseball, so that's cool that they're not having to change as much as some of these other leagues are in terms of that. And then there were some rule changes coming into the season, like a universal DH, 3 batter minimums for pitchers, and extra innings start with a runner on a second base, that are kind of starting up with this season that might be underlooked, but I'm curious to see how that will impact the league, especially.
I by the way love that the runner starting at second base thing, because I think first of all I think they should do that in the regular season. It'll speed up the game a lot, and I know MLB and fans want that to happen desperately. I think that would be a great way to do it. So I'm really excited for that rule.
I'm excited to see baseball back, even though I'm not a baseball fan. I'll definitely be watching a few of these games just because it's sports and it's been so long.
Yeah, like I said, baseball I feel like would be one of the safer ones in terms of like contact and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
I feel like we shouldn't have too many issues with the good old Rona.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Of course not.
I feel like it's joke time. Although most of my jokes today have been striking out.
Ooh.
Ha, ha, ha.
Ooh.
That was the joke. If you didn't catch that.
Yeah, I got it.
It was?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oof.
make a
Well,
joke. Make a joke taking us to the NHL.
I didn't realize you wanted slapstick comedy.
There you go. Okay, so the NHL and the Players Union reach an agreement on return to play and extending the CBA another 4 years. So that means that hockey will officially be coming back, even though hockey's kind of been the silent horse just working away. They've gone through phase 1, they've gone through phase 2. On July 13th, they agreed to open phase 3, which is opening the training camps up to more than the 6 players and a small group of people. And then phase 4, which is restarting those cities, or restarting the game in the hub cities of Edmonton
In Toronto.
and Toronto, starting up.
I love that it's Canada, by the way, too, for multiple reasons. One, because that is king, and obviously hockey is really great in Canada. It's their most popular sport. So I think that'll be good for the league to get its popularity back, and they handle Corona a lot better than America does.
Yes, that is very, very true.
It does look like from what's been leaked and talked about, nothing's actually official yet. That the leading cities are Toronto and Edmonton, which, if you go back in the archives, I called Edmonton. I called it. So,
Whoa, Brendan calling something?
I'm
So-
telling you, it happens more than you think.
So how many host cities are there then?
They're talking about only doing 2 now instead of the 3 that they were talking about before. So then it would only be in Canada.
So it's actually official as of 2 hours ago.
Nice.
I was
Toronto and
just
Edmonton.
looking at. Oh, I was not looking on there. I was just looking. Yeah.
That's fair. So the Stanley Cup will actually be in Edmonton.
Awesome.
Nice.
And there's fans.
Awesome.
Awesome.
What other sports are going on?
Pretty sure there's UFC going on.
There is UFC going on. I'm excited for Fight Island this Saturday. Big event, 3 championship bouts. And I'm excited for Masvidal versus Usman. A lot more than Gilbert Burns versus Usman, because I thought that Gilbert Burns was just going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And even though Masvidal has to drop 20 pounds in 6 days, it's not that much for fighters if you think about it.
Right.
George St. Pierre used to drop like 30 pounds a week. So it can be done. And with Masvidal being as great as he is, the BFM, it's going to be a great contest. Win or lose, I think he deserves the new contract that he's getting. Especially for stepping up last minute. I know Colby Covington also was kind of saying, yeah, I'll step up, but then he didn't do anything about it. And Jorge Masvidal, especially after he was kind of having a falling out with the UFC over his contract, to step up and fight right away, I commend him on it. I will be watching this Saturday.
Is it a pay-per-view, or is there like a way to watch it somewhere?
It is a pay-per-view, but you know, people have their ways.
I was gonna say I'll have to find some illegal stream.
We do not condone the illegal streaming of any sports here at the SighSquad podcast.
We would never condone illegal streaming.
But if you do, send us the link. Follow us, DM us.
Yeah, if you guys find any illegal streaming apps, send us the link so we can turn them in immediately. Send me and send all of us the link.
Yeah. Ask that on Twitter and we'll distribute it to the proper sources.
But first, we're gonna make sure that it's legitimately, the illegal link of how to view it illegally,
Right,
just so that way, like, we're not trying to get people in trouble here.
Right.
We here at the SighSquadPod, we only care.
Yes.
Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be as much of a knockout podcast.
Ha! That was your best joke yet today, Brendan.
No, my best joke today was me waking up.
Oh, damn. I have a feeling that the jokes are going to get even better in our next segment, our final segment of the day, we won't be doing rankums just because it's been kind of a busy week. But does Michael Vick belong in the Hall of Fame? Will he be in the Hall of Fame, or are we going to send him down to the Hall of Lame? Whoever can start. Brendan, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'd be okay with starting. Michael Vick, very interesting player, right? So he had a great career. He was one of the people who kind of made kind of our current quarterback meta, where you have to not only be able to throw the ball, you have to be able to run with it too, just so that way you can keep yourself multidimensional. And I feel like Lamar Jackson's play is, inspired by Michael Vick's because of the things that he did on the field that were so amazing. Pulling up his stats here.
So, what are you think? Do you say yes or no for Hall of Fame?
I haven't said anything yet.
Oh.
But the biggest thing that's hurting him is his dogfighting ring, because that don't look so great. That don't make you look like a great guy. And it's really not only about being a great player. You also have to be a good guy. Well, you at least can't be a bad guy.
There's also been plenty of guys that have off-the-field issues that have made it to the Hall of Fame.
True.
All right, I'll go next because people aren't talking. Michael Vick will not be a Hall of Fame player. He has some high notes in his career, but throughout his career, he never really had. I mean, he wasn't an All-Pro. He does have 4 Pro Bowls to his name, but 4 Pro Bowls in 15 seasons isn't that great. His career quarterback rating isn't great. His career touchdown interception rating isn't phenomenal. And besides the fact that he doesn't have any great stats or awards behind his name, the fact that he served almost 2 years in prison in the middle of his thing. And the NFL looks at that, and the Hall of Fame looks at that. That's why Terrell Owens took such a long time. Terrell Owens didn't go to jail for 2 years. He was just didn't have good character. I would be surprised if Michael Vick makes it into the Hall of Fame.
I would agree with you there. I do not think that Michael Vick will be a Hall of Famer, although he is one of those players that nobody will ever forget about. He's just polarizing in a way. He's one of those guys that changed the game in a way, but I don't think he's done much in terms of stat-wise or even his career-wise to make a case for a Hall of Fame, even if you take away his prison time and dogfighting stuff. I still don't think he's on that Hall of Fame list, and if he was on the Hall of Fame list, I think he'd be very low and it'd take him a long time to get in.
Well, yeah, he really doesn't have any accolades to his name. I mean, he is still the career rushing yards by a quarterback, but we can see that. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses that to somebody like Lamar Jackson. He has 4 Pro Bowls and 1 Comeback Player of the Year, and that's it. I mean, he was a Heisman finalist, but he really doesn't have anything that would even take away the dogfighting stuff. Just his career I don't think is good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. And then you got the fact that he served 2 years in jail for a crime that, while it might not be super serious, is not something that you want to be represented by.
Not to beat a dead dog dead here, but I don't think that Michael Vick is going to be a Hall of Famer. If this was the Madden Hall of Fame, hell yeah. He's in it already, pretty much. Just because of how dominant as a player Michael Vick has been in Madden forever. But nonetheless, he has less throwing yards than some quarterbacks throw in a whole ass season, and he had 13-year career. Yes,
sir.
Here is a trivia question for you. What does the president of the Hall of Fame Museum or the Hall of Fame committee, what does he say to players when he officially tells them you are entered the Hall of Fame?
What?
Something about Canton.
No.
Oh.
The big line they tell every single coach, player, whatever. Let me recite it. Thank you for making history in the league. Thank you for everything you have done for the game and everything you're about to do for the game. Michael Vick, stat-wise, it doesn't look great by any standards. Now, I think the numbers are a little bit fabricated because had he not been arrested, those numbers would have been significantly higher. Like, they would have been. He probably will not end up in the Hall of Fame. But if I was a player if I was in the voting committee, I would vote him in for the pure reason, because I also think that history is a big part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Michael Vick, in his absolute best, even when he was in Philadelphia, his MVP candidate year in Philadelphia, he is one of the most electrifying, one of the most fun players we have ever laid eyes on. Okay. He has changed the game for like for freaking ever. Would Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson be in the league if it wasn't for Michael Vick and the success that he brought? I don't think so. Lamar Jackson, people still question his arm. Russell Wilson, people question his size. But what do they bring? They bring the athletic ability. They bring that new modern style of football, and we can attest that to Michael Vick. And I said the same thing for Eli Manning. Can you tell the history of the NFL without said player? And Michael Vick, I could argue no. Now, in reality, he probably will not be in the Hall of Fame. But if it was 20 guys in a room, I would make sure it is not unanimous that he's not a Hall of Famer.
I would agree with that.
But like I said, he probably won't, which is unfortunate because I also think Michael Vick can thank football for his big turnaround.
That's very true.
The game has given him so much, and he returned it graciously, and he's going to continue to do it because he's getting into coaching. He's giving back to the game what the game did for him. So that's my case for it, but we'll just have to find out.
So I want to apologize really quick about something terribly inaccurate I said. I was looking at the wrong column for yards.
Yeah,
I was actually looking at his sack yards, like the amount of yards he's been sacked, not the amount of yards that he's thrown for.
Yeah, no, I figured you were looking. I wasn't gonna like call you out on. I figured it was whatever, but no, yeah, he has close to 23,000 career passing yards.
Yeah, which isn't too bad.
It's not great, but
it's not
whatever. It is what it is. It is not playing for 2 years.
Very true. So, according to the SighSquad podcast, he will not end up in the Hall of Fame.
But again, I'm here to make sure it is not unanimous.
That is fair. That is totally fair. What do you think about Michael Vick in the Hall of Fame? You should tweet us, Instagram us, Facebook us, comment on our stuffs. Let us know at SighSquadPod.
Through our window.
There you go. Whatever you need to do.
Send me presents.
Yeah. On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I think that's it for this week.
Do you know who's thrown more passing yards than Michael Vick?
Case Keenum.
A lot of people.
Andy Dalton and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but they also, like I said, you can also attest Michael Vick's passing yards to compared to how much he ran the football, but
right.
Obviously, Fitzpatrick and Andy Dalton are not running quarterbacks.
That is very fair.
And Fitzpatrick has been in the league for a bajillion years.
To be fair, though, Michael Vick is in the top 100, behind Ryan Tannehill and a few other names. But Ryan Tannehill, I just saw was near him, and I wanted to mention.
Interesting. Well, thanks for joining us today on this fantastic episode of the SighSquad podcast.
Solid stuff.
We'll see you next week. I'm Duncan.
I'm Noah.
I'm Ben.
I'm a joke.
Stop it.
And that's Brendan, and this has been the SighSquad podcast. Thanks for listening.